Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna go ahead and get ready and talk to you guys about my experience working at Claire's. Okay, so I actually took notes because I wanted to go over like all of the things that bothered me about Claire's. First of all, I want to say that I don't know if every Claire's was like this, and I don't know if every manager was like this, but my experience was bad because of the manager that we had. So let me start off with Fridays. So when I started working there, I was really excited because I was right out of high school and I wanted to work and have money, whatever. So by the way, this makeup is just really fast makeup, whatever. Okay, so on Fridays I used to work every single Friday, right? So whatever, it's retail. When you apply for a retail job, you should know that mostly you'll be working like every weekend. So anyway, for my case, I used to work Fridays from 6 to 9, like 6 p.m. to 9 p.m, 3 freaking hours. And it was pretty annoying because I'm like, okay, well, I can't do anything on a Friday. So my Fridays were completely ruined pretty much because, and I wouldn't have minded if it was more hours, but it was just 3 hours and that would ruin all my Friday. And I never had any Fridays off. But I guess that's retail, so whatever. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys the worst day at Claire's, and it was like seriously the worst day because, so if you guys work retail, you guys know that you guys are supposed to get like a break. Everywhere you're supposed to get a break if you work like over a certain amount of hours. So that day, it was on a Sunday, my friend, I'm gonna use her real name, Yadira, was going to Mexico. She had requested her time off, and yeah, she got it. Obviously when you request time off in advance, you get your time off. So she was gonna be out of the country, and anyway, that Sunday, so Sundays managers aren't supposed to work. I think it was only like one Sunday out of the month, I don't remember, but for sure Sundays managers didn't work. So there's this girl, I'm gonna call her Sandra. There's this girl named Sandra who always called off. Like, it was only 4 of us who worked at Claire's, and that girl Sandra would always call off, and she would never get in trouble about it. But she would call off, like, I'm not lying, at least twice a week, all the time. And I never called off because I was always so scared. So anyway, that time Sandra called off, and it was on a Sunday. And I went in or whatever, and I was like, oh, where's everyone? And Sundays are the busiest days because the Claire's that I worked in, if you guys are from California, which is the Carson Mall, and everyone goes to that mall on Sundays. And there's a lot of ear piercings that day. So yeah, we do pierce ears too. So anyway, I get a call like at 11 in the morning from the girl Sandra who never shows up. And she's like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to come in today, and I don't know what. And I was like, okay, like, what am I supposed to do with that? And then she's like, you should call my manager. Let's call her Laura. She's like, you should call Laura and tell her to come in and like give you a break because I can't come in, I don't feel good, whatever, all this stuff. And I was like, okay. So I called Laura. Hold on, I forgot my baking powder and I'm super oily, so okay, I'm back. So I called Laura and I'm like, hey Laura, Sandra's not gonna be able to come in today, like, what's gonna happen? And then she's like, oh, can you try calling Yadi to come in? And I was like, she's in Mexico, what is she gonna do? She can't come in, she's in Mexico. And she's all like, oh, it's because I can't come in. Try to call Sandra again and see if she can come in because I can't come in. Managers aren't supposed to work on Sundays and I don't want to get in trouble and whatever. And I was like, first of all, you care about like getting in trouble, and you guys will know why I'm saying this later. So anyway, I called Sandra and I'm like, hey Sandra, Laura said if you can come in. And she's like, I can't, it's because I'm really sick, I'm gonna go to the hospital right now, whatever. And I was like, okay. So long story short, I worked all day by myself. So we opened at 9 in the morning on Sundays. and we closed at I think like 7 p.m. So from 9 in the morning to 7 p.m. No, actually I worked from 9:30 in the morning to 7:30. So from that time I had no one to help me. I didn't have a lunch. It was super full. I was so annoyed because I was hungry. I wanted to sit down. I needed to pee. I actually called the security and I'm like, can you please come in and watch the store while I pee because I can't hold it in anymore. And yeah, like the guy came and he stayed in. And then the next day I come in and I guess some of the numbers were low. If you work retail, you know what I'm talking about. And she left me a note that day because I came in on Monday evening to work. And I was like, seriously dude, like I kept up the store by myself all day with no break. No, I didn't eat anything. I got to pee once because I called the security. And you're still complaining about the numbers, whatever. I was just like, you know what, whatever. This lady is so annoying. So that was her. Another time around Christmas time, the restroom was like pretty filthy and then like it got clogged and everything. We didn't have cleaning supplies for the restroom, and well, actually we had like the Swifter thing to mop because we had to mop the store, and it ran out of, we used to use like Fabuloso or something. So she left a note that we had to go buy some, right? So that time I went, but I was sent on my lunch break, and my lunch break was only 30 minutes. So I walked, if you guys know where that Claire's is, there's a Target. You have to get out of the mall to go to Target, but it's like really close. I walked all the way to Target to buy the plunger, like the toilet plunger, and to buy the Fabuloso, and I never got reimbursed for it. So I paid for that myself. I know it's not expensive, but it's annoying because I shouldn't have to be spending my money on that. So anyway, that was another thing. The other thing about Laura, so on Saturdays they have to work and close with whoever's working. So it's usually 2 people. I'm doing my eyebrows so dark because I'm over here talking. But on Saturdays, Laura is supposed to close every Saturday. So the Saturdays that I would work, there was only like 2 times out of the whole year and a half that I worked there that she stayed. Other times she was like, hey chica, I have to go. And I was like, okay. So she would leave, we're supposed to close at 9, and she would leave like at 6 or like 7. So I was by myself and I had to close. And then what she would do was that she's like, oh, just don't initial it out, I'll initial it later. So what she would do is she would clock out, like fix her time. So she clocked out at the time she was supposed to get out, but she wouldn't work those hours, so she was just getting paid for not being there. Yeah, that was pretty annoying because for us, you guys know what she used to do, and you know what? She doesn't work there anymore, and I'm so dumb for never saying anything, but she doesn't work there anymore. I think she got fired. But let me check my notes because I wrote this. Oh, so there was, especially for me when I started working there, I had a hard time closing the register by myself and like writing and all that stuff. So anyway, so during the week we used to close the store at 9 p.m. So anyway, de la mañana. If a customer walked in like at 9, we had to keep the store open till they finished shopping, and most of the time they wouldn't even buy anything. They would just lurk and not get anything. So anyway, we obviously couldn't start closing the registers when they were there because we had to take the money out of the register and count it, and obviously we're not going to take the money out in front of customers because they can just take it. So technically we're supposed to be out of there by 9:30, but obviously things happen and people would leave like at 9:15, 9 whatever. Let's say we finished our work and out of the store at like 9, what time? Like 9:40, 9:45. She would fix our time, and then so pretty much she would clock us out at 9:30. So we would work, we would work like what, like 20 minutes. One time I worked like 40 minutes after because there was money missing in the registers, so I was trying to figure that out, and I stayed like 40 minutes after to figure it out, and she like changed my time, so I didn't get paid a lot. Like, I mean, it accumulates, and I didn't get paid for a few hours because of that. So she would fix my time, but then when she would get off early, she would just leave it like that. Like, she would go back and add more time to her, so she was always getting paid more and stuff. So So that was pretty annoying. And then another time that was so annoying, and this was close to the time where I quit. I was like, you know what, I'm like so over it. So there's blackout dates. I don't know if it's in every retail job, but we have a calendar, and if it's highlighted, that means that we can't get those days off because it's considered busy season. So it starts towards the end of October, when it's going to be Halloween, up until like the first 2 weeks of January. I checked the calendar to make sure that everything was fine and I can go somewhere. So that time I was gonna go to New York. Well, I did go to New York. So I checked the calendar, and the dates that I chose were not highlighted. I booked the ticket, and I made sure that it wasn't like interfering with the blackout dates. So then I came to her, and I'm like, hey Laura, I booked my flight. These are the days I'm gonna be in New York. And it was only like 3-4 days. And she's like, that's really close to the blackout dates. And I was like, yeah, I checked and it's not the blackout dates. Tell me why she comes and she highlights the days, like the day after. She highlights the days, and she's like, oh, you're not gonna be able to go. Is there any way that you can change your ticket? It's because those days are important and whatever. And I was like, seriously? And I was like, well, who's gonna give me my money back for the flight? Because they don't give you your money back. I don't like when people get mad at me, or like, you know, especially at a job. And I was like, oh, let me see what I can do. And yeah, I called the airline, and I'm like, hey, is there any way that I can change my flight? And then they're like, no, you can't, like, I don't know what. I was like, okay. So I texted my friend Yali, and she was assistant manager, and I was like, Yali, like, this is what's going on, and I don't know what to do, because I already paid for everything. Like, I already paid for my flight, and it was expensive, and my friends are going with me. What do I do? And she's like, dude, just go. She told me what to do, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. This lady doesn't care about me. Why should I care so much about her? I never called off. I had been working there for over a year. I never called off. When I tried to call in sick once, she's like, oh, if you don't come in, I'm gonna give you a write-up. Yeah, like one time I tried to call off because I didn't feel well, and I had to come in. So yeah, that time I did go to New York. So before I actually left to New York, she scheduled me to work the day I was flying out to New York, which is weird because it was on a Wednesday, and I was never scheduled. I always had Wednesdays off, but she's like, since you're leaving, you're gonna have to catch up on your hours. And I'm like, okay. So I worked on Wednesday. Tell me why she left me a big list of things I had to do before I left. And honestly, the list was unrealistic. I had been working there for over a year, so I knew what I was doing, and it was like so much I had to do. And she's like, you can't leave if you don't finish the list or whatever. And she knew my flight was in the evening. I think my flight was like at 9 p.m. And I was like, dude, seriously, like, I still have to get home and like finish my last minute packing. Like always, that was my fault. And I was just so annoyed. And for that time, that girl Sandra, she's like, you know what, don't worry about it, I'll finish your tasks or whatever. And I was like, oh my god, that was the nicest thing she ever did for me. She was nice, she just always called off. So I was like, okay. So I left, and I was so stressed out because I was supposed to get off at 5, and I got off like at 7:15 trying to finish everything I had to do. And yeah, whatever. So I went home and I made it to my flight. So that was pretty cool. And I think that's it. There's more things, but she was so extra, like, and I'm so glad that she's not there anymore, because she honestly didn't give anyone a break. And oh, okay, so jobs are supposed to respect your religion. And so for Halloween, I don't celebrate Halloween, and I have nothing against people who celebrate it. I just don't celebrate it. So tell me why at this job, so when it's like Christmas season, for every season you kind of have to buy like little jewelry or something that kind of goes with the theme. So for Halloween, the accessories, they're kind of like goth, especially at like Claire's. So she's like, you have to buy something that represents Halloween so you can wear it, so clients can be attracted to it and maybe want to buy it. And I was like, oh, I don't celebrate Halloween. And she's like, you don't have to celebrate Halloween, but this is your job and you have to do it. So I was like, okay. So my freaking sonsa self went and I looked for the thing that looked like not too Halloweenish, but I bought like a bracelet. It was like a big spider right here. So I was like, whatever. And the day of Halloween I worked too, and she's like, you're gonna have to dress up, everyone else is dressing up, just buy some little kitten ears and paint your face. And I was like, no. And then when I found out she wasn't working, I was like, you know what, like, I'm not gonna do that. And at this point I was just annoyed because, you know, it's like someone's religion, you don't mess with them, you know. I was like, whatever. And I was just so annoyed because she was so annoying, and I was like, you know what, whatever. So that next day I came in to work, and yeah, she wasn't there, so whatever. I don't know if it's all the management and Claire's, but I know I had a really bad experience with the store manager. Well, yeah, the store manager at our store. Okay, so that was my story time about working at Claire's. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys would like more story times, just let me know. Bye.